Well, hey, it's Laura with Low Marie Vintage, and today I'm going to talk about why we don't see as much plus-size vintage clothing and why it can be a little bit more difficult to find. Low Marie Vintage is a vintage clothing shop based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. We also have an online shop which includes a very size-inclusive range. We have everything from extra small to 2X. There's a link to our online shop in the description below. We ship internationally too, so no matter where you are, you can get one of our items. So when people ask me why they don't see as many plus-size items in vintage shops and at vintage stores, usually my answer is the same answer I would have given a few years ago, but in general, there was not a very inclusive fashion movement for larger sizes up until very recently. So as a young plus size woman, the same problems you would have faced in 2005, you would have faced in 1975, if not worse. And of course we can start talking statistics and numbers because now I think, what is it, more than 50% of the population is above a size 16, I think. I mean, there have always been larger women. Not everyone in the 1960s was a size 2. So if anyone ever tells you the only reason you can't find vintage plus size clothing is because no one was your size in past decades, they are full of it. Honestly, the answer is fashion didn't cater to larger bodies the same way it still, in a way, struggles to cater to larger bodies. And just in general, sizing is so inconsistent. I mean, it's still so inconsistent. I mean, being a woman in the United States, I can be a size 6 in one store and a size 12 in another store. It makes no sense. And the same problems apply to vintage clothing, which is why you should always look at the measurements and you shouldn't be looking just at the size on the label, because also a vintage size 16 would probably fit more like a modern day size 10. Another thing to remember about vintage clothing is up until really the 1970s, when things began to be more mass produced, most things were tailor-made. So people would go to a tailor or a dressmaker and have things custom made for their body or fitted to their body. So things were not made in giant factories. A lot of the really great plus size pieces that you find from the past were made by hand, which means they're usually better quality. There just aren't as many plus size items in circulation because most of them were made by hand or made on a smaller scale than some of the larger factory produced straight sizes. And most women today are a size 12, 14, 16 or higher. There just aren't as many in circulation because that's what people buy, because that's what fits people. And that's why I go out of my way to try to keep larger sizes in stock in the Low Marie Vintage online store, just because I know sometimes it's harder to find those larger size vintage pieces. And I don't want women who are plus size to be afraid of buying vintage and thinking, oh, there's no way I'm going to find anything that fits me, because like I said, it's not that plus size women were invented in the last 5 years. There will always be items in your size. There have always been items in your size, and I try to go out of my way to make sure they're in my shop so you can enjoy vintage clothing too. I just want everyone to have the opportunity to start their own vintage clothing collection, and even though there are less vintage plus size pieces, just know they are out there, and like I said, they are usually better quality than the straight sizes. I thank you so much for watching today, and please, if you're straight size, plus size, whatever, please check out Low Marie Vintage. Like I said, we've got a wide range of sizes. We'll ship anywhere, and if you have any questions, you can totally shoot me a message either on Etsy or YouTube or social media. So yes, follow me on social media. I am at Low Marie Vintage everywhere. I do appreciate you clicking on this video and watching to the end, and I hope you subscribe for more. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I hope to see you next time.